Can everyone hear? Able to hear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So I'm very poor in using this PowerPoint presentations. Please forgive me if I'm not able to justify your valuable time. So we'll take your blessings and begin. So first, let us understand the requirements for understanding the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedic knowledge, and it is spoken by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, December 25th, which is coming up on Gita Jayanti, actual day when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita at Kurukshetra, which is even now it is there. So we'll go to that. What are those requirements, which is laid out, summarized? Actually, why these requirements are there, and how it should be read. There is a Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, is Divine Gayasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, is presenting in a systematic, sequential manner. And Prabhupada talks about it. We have to read in sequence. We cannot jump to any chapters. We have to read from so many times we skip introduction. But introduction has so much detail. Whatever we are discussing, everything is drawn out of the introduction from this specific introduction which we are speaking. So that's why it is very important to understand introduction, because this is part of the Mahabharata, so that everybody, Mahabharata is a history, so that everybody like to read and hear history. So that's why Gita was included within that Mahabharata by Sri Vyasadeva, who is the literary incarnation of the personality of Godhead. So within that, before he begins within Mahabharata, there was a portion to introduce Bhagavad Gita. So that's why there is introduction, almost 35 pages or so. Sri Prabhupada has spent his energy and time putting this, so that we understand, before we jump on to chapter 1 onwards, we understand what is the actual context, not just a text, and also it is not just information. It is a transcendental science. So that's why we need to thoroughly and follow the guidance from the actual who has presented this. Supreme Lord Sri Krishna presented, and who is the authority, the bona fide Acharya, how he presents, how he wants us to read, how he wants us to follow. Just like most of us are in IT field. We have standard operating procedures. We have work guidance documents and various other things to follow certain protocols in a certain fashion, certain sequence. There is a systematic way to do things. So same way here also, we cannot do in our own way. Then we will not be able to understand the actual subject matter. So that's why these requirements are given. So let us understand what it is. The first one is here mentioned. Bhagavad Gita is a real historical dialogue, because it has happened in Kurukshetra, which is even now there. It is close to Delhi. Anybody can visit, and there are so many historical references to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Not only that, there is archaeological evidences. There are many books was written by devotees and also outside people, and they are still finding many archaeological evidences about Dwaraka, especially. Dwaraka is the oldest city. Krishna was living as a king 5,000 years ago in Dwapara Yuga. So there was so much evidence. Initially, they didn't believe. They thought this is a mythology. But there are so many evidences giving a proof that Krishna was a person, a supreme person was existing, and Arjuna was also existing, and Krishna spoke this. So that's why it is a real history. If you take the shelter of Google, if you take shelter of Doordarshan or TV or some other mechanisms, then we'll come up with our own ideas. This is a mythology, this is just a story, this is just somebody made this. But in reality, that's not the case. That's why we have to hear from a bona fide authority. So that's what is mentioned here. The real historical dialogue. There is absolute truth. And number 2, Bhagavad Gita should be read and understood. It is coming in a disciplic succession. Madhubad Prabhu has covered already. It's called Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshiyo Vidu. So in 4th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking transcendental knowledge. in that chapter. That is the title of the chapter, and Krishna is speaking that. If you want to understand, O Arjuna, O all of you, whoever is assembled on the battlefield, in the future, whoever is going to read, so you must follow this disciplic succession. So, because just like why anybody goes to school, why there is a guardian, why there is a king, why there is a father, why not whimsically go with our own way? So always there is a guardian who is guiding, there is a father who is guiding, the son or daughter or mother who is guiding that you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Same way we are all going. First of all, let's understand that what is the characteristics of a living entity. What is the characteristics of a living entity? Everybody wants to be happy, and nobody wants to die. Everybody is looking for knowledge. So that is the main idea. So in that's why everybody, as soon as a baby is born, there is touching and putting in the mouth, trying to understand things, trying to gain knowledge. So Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, that is the natural quality of a living entity. So that's why we don't want to die. But the problem is we have a faith in, like, we will get on a bus, we will get on aeroplane, we will get on train, because we have strong faith in them. We take shelter of all this. But when it comes to Shastra, we don't want to take shelter. When it comes to, yes, for a material job, we want to understand, study the subject, we take shelter. But when it comes to take shelter something which has rules, little bit more stringent rules, or strictness, something we have to follow very strictly, then we have hesitation, then we don't have a strong faith. This I can do later on, this is not required, this is not meant. We come up with our own ideas and conclusions. So that's where the problem is. So just like we have a faith in this bus or a train or car, so we get destination, we reach destination because we have faith, and we don't lose faith, and we take this path. Same way, because the why everybody is fearful of death, we don't have faith. We don't know what the destination looks like, where I'm going to enter. When I leave this body, where I'm going to enter? No idea, because we don't even know who we are. So we don't know what is the destination is. So that's why the Bhagavad Gita Krishna spoke, because he's trying to give us the realization by which we can understand the actual destination, what it is going to be, based on how we do, how we conduct ourselves in our life. Then accordingly, the destination is determined. So that's why this disciplic succession is very much needed. So just like for a material subject, we'll go to the detail later on in the slides. So that's what we have to understand. Evam parampara praptam. And Prabhupada talks about it in Srimad Bhagavatam. In all these three Prabhupada books, there is one verse which is mentioned everywhere in all the books. Tadvaga visargo janataga viplavo esmin pratislogam avaddavati api namani anantasya sonkitani yet srunvanti gayanti grunanti sadhava. What it means is, you go to a material teacher, you will get information. But if you need transformation, you need to approach a bona fide spiritual master. You need to also receive the transcendental knowledge from him. So then it becomes a transformation. You will transcend. So that's why. So because that it is mentioning that meaning of that verse is, it brings revolution in the impious lives of the misdirected civilization. Why there is a sasana? Why there is a rules and regulations? Why there is a law and order by the government? They don't need to. Why it is kept everywhere? Because otherwise there will be chaos in the society. Everybody wants to do their own whimsical way. So that's why there is a law and order. That's why there is a shastra, and there is a sasana. That means there is a manual, what to do, what not to do. And for especially for human being, it is even more relevant, more required, it is mandatory, because we have intelligence. So that's why if you want to bring transformation, not just taking the information, that for the material subject, we try to take the information, we want to get something out of it for the material things. But for a real transformation, real change of heart, so that's why Prabhupada is mentioning impious lives, because we're not pious. If we are pious, we will not be here in this material world. So impious lives are misdirected. Direction is not there. Who's directing? Those who are blind is directing us. So that's why we are being also following the same blind path. So that's why it is very important to follow those who have realized, we have saw the truth. So that's why disciplic succession is very important. So next one is Krishna is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. Many editions of Bhagavad Gita has brushed. Yes. So Krishna is the ultimate goal, because when you read Bhagavad Gita, what does it mean? Gita is the subject and Bhagavan has spoken. Then obviously who is the Bhagavan? The whole subject matter is Krishna is the one who has spoken 5,000 years ago, 700 plus verses in 45 minutes. Just like you and me converse in our own language, like that Krishna has spoken. And Arjuna could understand. He can understand the caliber of Arjuna. It is not just one character in a TV. He is a person and he is a devotee. He was associate of the Supreme Lord. So he was playing his part so that we all understand how to apply this knowledge later on in our lives. So that's why Krishna is the ultimate goal. Like if you take this is the difference again. Material subject, you take chemistry, English, physics, anything. Somebody has written that book. If you write that book, what is the goal? You will understand. The goal will be you will understand maths or chemistry. You will not understand the actual person. But in this case, Bhagavad Gita, you will understand ultimate goal is Krishna, because that is his absolute truth. There is no difference between Krishna and his words and his activities. There is no difference. Nama Chintamana Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Suddho Nityamukta Abhinnatvam Nama Namana. There is no difference between either his name, nor activities, nor his pastimes, nor his instructions. It is transcendental. Everything is same. Everything has its power. Nam akari bahuda nija sarva sikta tatrarpita nimita smaranayana kala etadrasi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midra ihajnana anuraga. All the energies, everything is put into this, the holy names and the words, because it is not coming from a ordinary person like me. Myself is my name is also legal name is Krishna. It is not coming from ordinary living entity Krishna. It is coming from the Supreme Person. Apaurushaya. We might be called Purusha because we are trying to enjoy. We are thinking we are the enjoyer. But that's why it is mentioned, Shastra is mentioned, Apaurushaya. It is not coming from a materialistic living entity. It is coming from the Supreme Person. All these Vedas, Upanishads, Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever you take, everything has come from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is transcendental, nothing material about it. So that's when we take really with strong faith from authorized sources, then it brings transformation. We take it very lightly when we don't have faith, when we don't have respect, when we don't apply properly, when we don't receive knowledge properly in the disciplic succession, then obviously there is no result. Asraddha dana purusha dharmasyasya parantava muttu samsara vartamani. Those who doesn't have faith, they will never be able to understand Bhagavad Gita, Srimad, any transcendental text. Because your idea, your thought, you have your own thoughts, then there is no way you can understand. You go to maths class, physics class, you come up with your own calculation and ideas, and the teacher is telling something for your own good, but you want to follow your own, where it will lead? It will not lead. And that is a material subject. If it is a transcendental subject, where it will lead? If you come up with our own faith, with our own ideas, thoughts. So that's why the Guru means he knows exactly everything Shastra, what Krishna is saying, what Shastra is saying, confidently. There is no if and but, there is no it may be. You will never find these things in Prabhupada's books. That's why Prabhupada is calling as it is. That means without construing, without interpreting your own thoughts. Exactly as Krishna desired, that's what it is. So that's how it is, as clear as mud, as clear as water. So that's why the goal of the Bhagavad Gita is none other than Krishna. So there is a 15.15. There are many verses in Bhagavad Gita. I'll give you that also. 3.30, chapter 3, verse number 30. That is also a very crucial verse, essence, purpose of Bhagavad Gita. 15.15, chapter 15, chapter 15 and verse number 15, where it is Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishto Matta Smritir Gnanam Apohanancha Vedaischa Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krut Vedavid Eva Cha Aham. I am supposed to be known. I am giving the all knowledge. Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishto. Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishto. I am there in each and every living entity, each and every atom, not only human being, but every animal, every creature. And I am the one who is giving forgetfulness and also intelligence, remembrance. So that's why, because those who doesn't want to believe in Krishna, those who doesn't want to believe in God, obviously will give forgetfulness. You'll never remember Krishna. You don't want Krishna. But Krishna is not like envious. He will still give food, shelter, whatever you need, still he will supply, because he is equal to all. To the degree you want him, to the degree he will support. So it is up to us, the choice, the free will is there. So we have to use consciously, judiciously. If you don't, then as Madhupad Prabhu has shown the pictures, that's what we have to become, all other species of life. We cannot even get human birth. So that's why it is, so we are in a precarious condition. So we have to understand that that's when it will be a requirement. That's when we are meeting the qualification to transcend. If we think that we are already mature, we are already perfect in our life, then we cannot progress. So that is the first understanding. In 2 point, before Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, he has a defects. He could understand that he cannot go further beyond, because he was completely bewildered by seeing his own family members. Then he had to sit down and think about what should I do. He has argued in so many ways. Then finally he understood, I have many defects. I cannot keep on arguing. I have to surrender to superior authority. So that's why Krishna is the goal. So we'll go to the next. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what Prabhupada talks about in these 10, almost 10 different points in introduction, in 17th page or 13th page, all these points. So Krishna is the, he's not, we cannot say he's a great person. He's not an ordinary person. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have many gods. We are also minute gods. We are called, we are minute God. We are minute creators. But the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Creator. That's why it's called Vibhu, is the greatest. We are the Anu, we are the smallest. We can fly aeroplanes maybe, but Supreme Lord can fly the whole universes, whole planets can float. From his skin pores, we maybe some sweat, little drop will come. But from his skins, what is coming? Universes are coming. From his breathing, skin pores, universes are coming. Yasaiva niswasa kalam atavalam lomant jivanti loma vilajanti, forget the words, but it is the uchvasa and nichvasa, where breathing in, breathing out, inwards are coming out from his skin pores. That is the person we are talking about. And that also he is not directly doing. Every god has a some work to do, something to do. But Krishna doesn't have anything to do. All what is the activities? He simply perform loving pastime. That is the only activity he has. And Prabhupada is one of his disciples, somewhat from some other country, China or Europe, came to India. He went all over the temples, and then he told Prabhupada, I saw everywhere, everybody is working, all Kali, Durga, Ganesha, so everyone is working. But I only see that this personality, Krishna, is the only one who seems to be a god. He's not working. He's nicely enjoying his pastimes. So we can understand this is not coming as somebody from India. This is somebody who's from other countries. He has realized this by seeing, understanding how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So we have to understand that. Theoretically, at least theoretically accept. Then only we can understand Bhagavad Gita. So obviously here the same point is mentioned. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the absolute person, the absolute knowledge, and it is valid, and it never outdated, because this is the practical application. So that's why it never be outdated. In the future, in the past, currently, it's always, it is applicable. So because it is eternal truth. So what Arjuna is telling in 2.7, yes, Shreyasyan Bruhitan me. Shreya means eternal. So give me the eternal truth which I can really benefit, not temporary. He doesn't want temporary benefit. So that's why eternal means it always exists. So it always applicable. There is never a case where it is not applicable. So that's why, that's the point here Krishna is making. So Bhagavad Gita is scientific presentation of philosophy or true religion. Yes. So systematic and scientific presentation. So and then here it is mentioned 9.2. That means we can perceive it. Just follow it, follow the principles for a few days. Ourselves we can see. Simply take Krishna Prasadam and see how much bliss you will get. Simply chant for 1-2 days, few days and see. Or just try. Just try and see. There is nothing wrong in trying. We are trying so many things. Different restaurant, different books, different things, different watching. So obviously, why not give it a try, especially to transcend? If it is going to help in a transcendental way, why not try it? So it is 9.2 is mentioned Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttam. This is the most purest, because there can be nothing can be impure, just like the sun. Sun purifies everything, contaminated place also. Does that mean sun gets contaminated? No, sun never gets contaminated. It purifies. Same way the Supreme Lord, sun is also getting its energy and its light from the Supreme Lord. Then how can he be impure? So he is the always absolute. There is no impurity. He is always pure. And we can realize Pavitram Idamatam Pratyaksavagamam dharmyam susukam kartumam. We can perceive ourselves. So we can see how, not yes, we may be, because we are from India, we can speak like, but how still Prabhupada has traveled everywhere. So many from Western world, from South Africa, China, Japan, you name it, in Italy, Philippines, you name it, in each and every, so many countries he went and everybody has accepted. They don't have any knowledge whatsoever what is Krishna, because he's not talking about some kind so-called religion. So-called religion means you come up with your own rituals and some rules and regulation. But here the real religion means how to develop love of God. That's what Krishna has come to give. And that's what Srila Prabhupada has come to this Western world to give, not to take anything, rather to give this transcendental, the highest subject matter. So that's what we have to understand. It is, but we have to apply it so that we can perceive and see the results ourselves. Phalena parichyate. By results we can see ourselves. Number 7. Word of Lord is as good as the Lord. Yeah, this we discussed. As mentioned, there is no difference between Lord and Lord's name, Lord's instructions, Lord's paraphernalia. So no difference at all. Number 8. There is a significance why Bhagavad Gita is spoken on a battlefield, because this is the most complex situation. If the Bhagavad Gita can be resolved the complexity on the battle do or die situation, so why then it will automatically, we can resolve any situation. We are not. That is the biggest problem, is we are all in comfortably situated, and we have a hard time following the process. We have a hard time following the authority in general. That's why the whole world is in chaos, because nobody wants to follow the authority. That's the first problem. And under spiritual subject matter, it's even further, it's very difficult. Because we have our own individuality, we want to do our own things. So that's why it is mentioned here. So it is so complexity, because Arjuna followed exactly what Krishna is instructing. So even though he was not in a comfortable situation, he was in a most difficult situation, and he could understand the intensity, and he could understand the severity, but he followed the instruction of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and then he could transcend. So then if we follow the same example as Arjuna has done, even little bit, try 1%, 2%. It's a gradual, it's a systematic and a sequential, slowly, gradually. We don't want to create a chaos. So Krishna never instructed. If Krishna wanted to instruct like that, he could have told first verse itself, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam. Bhagavad Gita is done one verse. He doesn't need to speak 3.30. He doesn't need to speak 15.15. He doesn't need to speak 11.55. Mat karma kran, mat paramo. He wouldn't have spoken manmana bhavamat bhakta 2 times, these many times. But he went systematically, one by one, gradually, because not everybody is at the highest level, PhD. He went from ABCD all the way, slowly, gradually, systematically presented, repeated himself again. Arjuna has so many doubts, despite clear Krishna instructing in 2nd chapter, but he still had a doubt. At the end of 2nd chapter, almost 15 verses he explained. And the 3rd chapter beginning, again he asked the same question, because he was doubtful. Because more than Arjuna's doubt, it is problem is with us. We will have doubts. So that's why Arjuna is putting that question about what is it. Are you asking me to fight or renounce? Your instructions are very, very difficult to understand. So you can understand. That's why Krishna is again repeating. All right, You didn't understand? Let me clear. So the whole chapter again he explained. So sometimes he doesn't even ask questions. Krishna encouraging Arjuna. Okay, don't be despondent. Don't be discouraged. I'm encouraging you. Try to put your time, energy. Try to understand. So that is what we have to do with our kids, with our neighbors, with our friends. Encourage always. Whatever quality little bit they have, don't discourage them in anything. Now, so from whom should I hear Bhagavad Gita? After understanding the requirements, so you can know that, okay, I know now at least what are the basic tenets, basic principles. So whom should you hear from? We should hear from him. This verse is being given here from Mundaka Upanishad. Prabhupada quotes again and again. Tad vijnanardam sagurum eva vigachet samit paniyam srotriyam brahmanishtam. So the vijnana means we are always looking for material knowledge. That is jnana, information. But vijnana means realized knowledge, vishesha jnana. So in order to get vishesha jnana, because we are in darkness, we are in ignorance. Like if few days sun doesn't come, imagine the electricity, everything, nothing is there. We will be in darkness and see the chaos, how much chaotic condition it will be. None of the refrigerator will work, none of the microwave, nothing will work. Imagine our situation. We will be in a very difficult situation. But this is same way we are in darkness of not understanding who we are, what is the actual ultimate reality is. Then obviously we need like a sun, we need a light. Same way we need the bona fide spiritual master who can actually take us from the ignorance and bring us to light. We see that. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So many, a number of verses. So this verse also telling, not only that, is telling it is a mandatory or it is a very much required to come to bona fide spiritual master to hear. Because what is his quality? Samit Paniyam, Strotriyam Brahmanishtam. He is always situated in the Brahman. He has realized it. Brahman means not only just not taking the literal word Brahman, not only Brahman, but he also understand Paramatma, he also understand Bhagavan. Three aspects of the Supreme Lord, which is like a sun rays, sun planet, sun God. So three different layers. Ultimately, it is the same fiery quality, but there are different levels of fiery quality. Sun rays has a small, lower efficiency, lower quality than the actual. If you go to sun planet, you cannot live. We are able to sustain by sun rays. But if you more you go up close to sun, you will be burned down. So that is the quality difference. So that's the same way. Brahman is first level. Next level is Paramatma. Then the next level is Bhagavan. Just like the sun rays, sun planet, and behind sun planet, actual personality is there. Sun God, Vivaswan. So that's what same way this bona fide spiritual master is situated in that level. He understands the Supreme Lord. He is not only theory, but he is practically practicing that. He has realized it. He has seen the truth. Srotriyam. Srotriyam means Shruti. As Madhupati Prabhu already explained, Shruti means understand all the Vedic knowledge. Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, obviously essence of all the Vedas. Vedanta, at the end of all the Vedic knowledge, is Bhagavad Gita. It is giving the essence, the most important. So he understands all the transcendental subject matter. He has understood the conclusions also, and he can explain to others with examples. So that is what Samit Paniyam Srotriyam Brahmanishtam. So there is another verse also, many verses. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyata Jignaso Sreyamattam Sabde Parecha Nishnatam Brahmani Upasamasrayanam. So he is also situated in that same verse, the similar verse. And it is not optional, it is mandatory. Otherwise, we will be suffering three modes of material nature and four defects are there. But the spiritual master who has above this conditioning is not operating on the material platform, is transcended. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana, above the Brahmana stage is in. So he understands and he has realized, not theoretically but practically. So more we'll go through that. So this is just preliminary. Now, why do I need a guru? First of all, let's understand guru. Guru means gu and ru. Two literals are there. Gu means gu shabdasya andakarasya, ru shabdasya nirodasya. So gu means ignorance, darkness. Ru means dispeller of the darkness, enlightening. So revealing the truth. So that's what Guru. And Prabhupada explained in few other places. Guru means heavy. Heavy with what? Transcendental subject matter. He is situated in transcendental Brahman. And he is revealing the truth. So that he is heavy. He is not situated in a material platform. He is situated in a transcendental platform. And he is a direct representative. A servant Godhead is called. Yes, Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastre Uktastadhava Vatayavasad. So, and then how many types of gurus are there? There are three types of guru. Vartama Pradaksha Guru, path showing guru. That means it could be our mother, father, friend, relative. It could be anybody. Sometimes kids. It is not based on the age or caste or color or country. There is not nothing like that. Anybody can tell that this is the path which can help you in your life. Then we may take up. So that person is called Vartama Pradaksha. He's just showing the path. He may not know all the details end to end. He may not know how to execute, but he knows that this is the best path. Please apply it. Please try to follow. You might instruct. So that person, first person who is instructing us, or it could be many persons. There may not be one, but many. Vartama Pradaksha. Then we have Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru means who is instructing us to reach and understand the absolute truth. There could be many Siksha Gurus. So who is following the path. And then Diksha Guru, that means who has given under the regulations, who is giving the Diksha. Then what do you mean Diksha? What is this word Diksha? That also we have to understand. Divyat Gnanam Kshapa iti Diksha. That's what Prabhupada explains, Jiva Goswami explains. And what happens at the time of Diksha? Diksha means initiation, just a beginning. Divyam Gnanam, he will remove the ignorance. Kshapayati, it removes and he reveals the truth. Not only that, Divyam Gnanam Dadyat, another word is used, Sankshayam, I think. So Jiva Goswami uses in Bhakti Sandarbha, which means removing sinful activities. At the time of initiation, when we surrender to a spiritual master, he removes the sinful activity, first layer of sinful activities. Till that point, he takes all your sinful activity. So that's a guru is heavy. Who can take our sinful activities? And not ordinary person can take. Nobody wants. Everyone, our family members, our friends, everybody wants something in return, something from you. But nobody wants to. Who will want to take your sinful activity? Nobody wants to share. Nobody wants to take somebody's sinful activity. Yes, they will ready to take their money or wealth, or resources, whatnot. Nobody wants to share their sinful activity. So we saw that Ayati story also. So he was asking, can you take my old age and give me the young age? He asked all the sons. Only one could give out of 5 sons. So it is not easy because everybody has their own thoughts and ideas. Nobody wants to really take up the burden, take up the difficult thing. So that's why Guru, but Guru doesn't care about what will happen to him. He is very compassionate. He is ready to give the transcendental knowledge, even though maybe disciple may not follow properly, but he is very compassionate. He is always encouraging. That is his duty. He is not looking, oh, if I initiate this disciple, what will happen to me? He is not thinking, because he is completely taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. He is not worried. He knows that Krishna is going to protect. He knows that he has completely taken shelter. He is fully has that confidence. So that's why he is very compassionate. So that's why we need a guru who can do. Not even our material father, material friend, nobody can do this job. Only guru can do this job, because that's why he is more than, higher than anybody. That's why Shastra is mentioned, Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastra. Krishna himself is telling in Uddhav Gita, Acharya mam vijaniya na avamanyeta karichit na buddhi asuyeta sarva deva mayo guru. Sarva deva mayo guru. That is important aspect. That's why we see Acharya Sri Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, in every ISKCON temple, because he is the ultimate authority. He is the one who has founded. Without him, we are not here today discussing about Krishna or any transcendental subject matter. So he has given the everything to us. So he's been there, he's been represented everywhere, because Krishna himself is saying in Uddhava, talking to his dearest friend Uddhava, that spiritual master is I am. He is non-different from me. Acharya mam vijaniyam. Understand this truth, and don't ever, anytime disrespect him, criticize him. Na abamanyeta karichit, because he is short, or his bodily deformation, or he has some he doesn't look good, or his language is not proper, or he doesn't understand my language, or all these material thoughts or material things we try to attribute to the spiritual master. That is not good. That is actually offensive. That's why Krishna is mentioning. Na abamanyeta karichit, na buddhya, na asuveta. Never be envious, never criticize him. And he is the Sarvadevamaya. He is the representative of all the demigods. He is representative of everyone else. So that is the importance Krishna is giving to spiritual, bona fide spiritual master, not any spiritual master. You can say so many masters there. Mother is a master, father is a master. Whoever is giving some positive things, we can call them a master. But we are talking about actually bona fide spiritual master who is going to actually transcend us, who can take us from here to transcendental spiritual world, to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So that's why Guru is needed. So that's what it has been talked about here. Why should I need? Because in material world we are taking shelter of everybody. So, and it is also, Prabhupada gives example, postman. Postman, what does it do? He'll take our mail, which is pushed in the post boxes, and he will take and deliver. He doesn't add, subtract. Yes, in sometimes things happen, you will lose things if you put any valuable. Sometimes, rarely, but most of the times we receive it. So that is those rare circumstances we shouldn't take into account. Generally, when you put in a box, authorized box, it will go. So just like the postal box, if you put that same mail, if you put in anywhere else, instead of putting the actual government authorized place, postal box, it will not go. So only if you put in that box only, it will go actually. So same way, the bona fide spiritual master, who is bona fide, just like the bona fide post office location is just like that, the spiritual master is also bona fide, and he is a transparent via media. That means he is not adding, subtracting. If Krishna is saying ABC, he is saying exactly ABC. He is not adding any of his thoughts to it. So that's why Guru and bona fide spiritual master is very, very important. So instead of taking shelter of all others, we should take. And many times also, as a devotees, once you are initiated by Diksha Guru, we must be careful and take shelter of him, and always try to follow his instruction as best within our capacity, as much as possible. And if we have questions, try to approach him, send emails. Sometimes he may have representatives to approach to them, but not that I have some great concern or great difficulty and we ask everybody else, not ask our spiritual master, then no point. Then why to take initiation? So at the time of initiation, we are very enthusiastic, but later on, that's why it is called paying attention to the details is very, very important. Prabhupada has emphasized so many times, again and again. If we don't pay attention to the details, it causes great distress and difficulty. That's what it will lead on to. That means whatever service, whether deity service or whatever service we might be doing, chanting or hearing, whatever, we don't pay attention to the details, simply we just, for the namesake, just be with that, just flow. Everybody is doing, I will also do some ritual. Then it's not going to help. Bhagavad Gita is not about the ritual, how many verses I know or how many times I have read. That is not actual. Bhagavad Gita is all about how are we applying it. Is there a transformation in our heart? Is there a change? Where am I going? Today I am in this particular position, particular situation. Am I moving up or am I staying in the same place or going down? So that's what it will tell us. Actually, after initiation, did we do anything, something substantial, or are we staying in the same place? Where are we? So that's always, there should be a gauge, there should be indicator. We should constantly check again at Sadhu, Shastra and Guru. If we are not progressing, if we are seeing some difficulty, we are seeing some anartha, then we should question ourselves. Just like Arjuna is questioning ourselves. Oh Krishna, why there is lust in this senses, mind, intelligence? Why is that? How can I remove it? He's asking. Did we ever ask? Most of the time we don't ask because we don't care. We are following the flow. Guru has initiated, I will chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada has said already, chant 16 rounds, take prasad, nice prasadam, dance, we'll go back to God. Why worry? So that this is we are in a comfortable situation. So that is the problem, which is, that means we are slack in our sadhana, in our actual path given, chalked out by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, coming down through Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. So we have to use it very efficiently. Time is very valuable. So that's why we need a guru. Otherwise we don't need. If it is just because everybody else is following, then it doesn't matter. Then we don't need. So it is mentioned here. So by same aspects, by accepting the advice, we are always prescription. We are going to the pharmacy through authority, to a doctor. We are getting. So there we have faith. But when it comes to same thing, strictly we follow. If we say, especially during COVID, how much strict we are. If somebody is telling 1, 2, 3, you have to follow. If you are affected by it or we are close to it, how much strict we will be. But same thing we will do in our day-to-day sadhana, in our services, in our following instruction of spiritual master. It's very difficult. We are not able to do. That means we can understand our sincerity, how much sincerity we have, how much we are lacking the faith, the respect. But see the Parikshit Maharaj, how much he is, how much he is faithful, how much he is has a strong faith. So that's why in chapter 12 you see that at the end also, yes, what is Shraddha Dana Matparama, Shraddha Dana, one who has strong faith and great respect, so then he can attain me. Otherwise it is not possible. So that's why we need to have sincerity and respect and great faith and following it very sincere. So strictly, just like these, we're taking shelter of the medicine prescription very seriously. Follow exactly 1, 2, 3, exactly we follow. So same way, so we have to follow much more seriously. So that's what these examples, various examples are being given here. So on the material level, now talking about, now obviously senses also cannot give us perfect realization. So and then that's why for spiritual subjects we need to approach, and Madhubal Prabhu already mentioned that our blunt senses cannot understand. So that's why we chant the holy name, because that is the method given in the Shastra for the Kali Yuga. Again and again we see that through Kevalastakam, through Harinam Chintamani, so many books on the topic of the holy name, how much it is important. So this is what is repeated here. Yeah, here it is mentioned Krishna himself, Lord Ramchandra himself. So they themselves is setting the example. Always they set an example. Krishna doesn't need to set example. He doesn't need any teacher. He himself is the Supreme Lord. He knows everything. Everything is coming from him. Why does he need teacher? If he doesn't do, then everybody else will follow. So Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, if I don't do activity, then everybody else also will do the same, and then it will be ruination. So I don't want to be the cause of ruination. So that's why I set an example. I also do. So that's why he has taken also went to Sandipana Muni, has taken, and he also has given Guru Dakshina. Same thing with Lord Ramchandra. So that's why we have to follow. Lord himself is doing. So why not us? We are ordinary. So that is a mention here. So that then discipline. Let me also one more thing. Who is Guru? Who is not a Guru? Some examples is there. One more slide. I have to stop sharing and then let me share the other one. Hold on. Wait for it already. Okay. You can see, right?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay. So why do I need a guru? We went through that. So who is not a guru? Who is going to charge the fees and give secret mantras? That's what Prabhupada has given and told, mentioned, and Shastra is also telling. So that means he is called, if somebody is taking fee, somebody is doing this, that means in returning, something in return is called bogi. He's trying to enjoy. Krishna is the only enjoyer. Nobody else is the enjoyer. We are being enjoyed. When we serve Krishna, then we get the actual pleasure. When we don't, we may seemingly get a pleasure, but it's not going to last long. We get more distress than a pleasure. So that's why we have to understand he is not the guru. If somebody is giving secret mantras or taking fee, or sometimes other way also, big pandal, okay, I'm ready to give Gayatri mantra, everybody assembled and ready to give. So who is your guru? What is your sampradaya? So did you realize the truth? Did you see the truth? So do you understand the essence of the all the subject absolute truth? No, but they are claiming to be giving these mantras, so whether Gayatri mantra, so many other mantras. But that's why there is a verse, I think Madhupal Prabhu covered, or later on it is there. Sampradaya vihina aste mantra aste vifalama. If somebody is giving mantra, this is the first thing. Many times we see nowadays so many people are speaking on this subject matter because everybody is interested in religiosity, everybody is interested in spiritual subject, everybody is speaking. But then who should I hear? Who is actually, is he talking the actual absolute truth or something else? First thing we have to check is actually where did he receive the knowledge from? Is it authorized? Is he the actual guru? Did he receive authority from, did he receive it from his previous spiritual master in a disciplic succession, in a parampara? So that's what we have to see, and which sampradaya is in. So then we will know, because otherwise seemingly everything is good. Otherwise that means milk touched by a serpent. You give milk to a serpent and then you take it, then what will happen? Poison effect. That means information, there is no transformation. You hear even the music also, many times we like to hear. We don't like to follow Prabhupada. We don't like to hear from Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mantra, Prabhupada also chants. But we like to hear from everybody else throughout the world. We try to hear so many different songs. That's why we see sometimes sannyasis, if somebody is directly we go, "Hey Radhe," or something, and immediately somebody stops, sannyasis, because that's not what Prabhupada taught us. So that way, unless we read Prabhupada books in a systematic, sequential manner, we will not be able to understand what exactly what Prabhupada wanted us to do. So that's why it is very important. Who is actually guru, who is not a guru. So we have to follow exactly what Prabhupada has given us. Not a single thing we should come up with our own ideas. So who is not a guru? Here, gymnastic, this is also, everybody is coming with Vihanga yoga, Kriya yoga, this yoga, that yoga, n number of yogas. But actually, what Krishna is telling in 6th chapter, 6.47, you can open Bhagavad Gita and see. That is also another important verse. Yoginam sarvesham madgatena antaratma saddha madgana saddham bhajite mam. Forget the last 2 lines. Yoginam sarvesham madgatena antaratma. The actual real yogi is one who is thinking of me, in personality, in person. That means personal form, not impersonal form. Not Paramatma, not Brahman, not energy, actual energetic. Who is the source of all the energies? Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Sruyate Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyata. So actually all the energies, everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. That's why he's called energetic. Energetic. Sometimes energy and energy both are same actually, in one sense also. That's what Prabhupada explaining in that 1.2.11. Tattva vidas vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yat jnanam advayam brahmed paramatmed bhagavan iti shabda. In that context, it is mentioned that yes, energy and energy is the same, because he is the energy who, from where energies are coming from. We are also one of the type of energy. We are marginal energy. We are called tatastha shakti. That means we tend to choose to go to God, or we tend to choose to enjoy material nature. So that's why we are called tatastha shakti. And we see the material nature, this material manifestation, that is actual energy. So these yogis, different types of yogis giving various gymnastics, still temporary, still material. Yes, you may create a planet, or you may drag a planet like Hiranyaksha has done from orbit. Something, some extraordinary, seemingly, in our eyes, seemingly, that is still material. It's not going to take us to the spiritual world. It's not going to give us eternal happiness. So then by following these kind of gurus, so-called gurus, It is not Guru. When we use Guru, when we use religion, that means the actual reality. So that's why Prabhupada, so-called Guru, so-called religion, Prabhupada used to use. So that's what we have to remember. Because there is Guru means only one who is bona fide. Religion means only one, which actually gives process to develop love with God and also everybody else, all the living entities. So that's what we have to clearly understand the difference. Defy the Vedas by declaring I am God. Yes, that is another problem. Yes, I'm going to produce something, give it, then people will start claiming he is God, so let me worship him. So, but actually they are not the gurus. And here now the qualifications of guru has been mentioned here. So, what is the verse in Bhagavad Gita 4.34? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena seva upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshana. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena seva upadekshanti te jnanam. So the guru must be always understanding that first of all he received transcendental knowledge through disciplic succession from a previous spiritual master. That is the first thing. And he must have understood, realized, and saw the truth, tattvadarsi. That means he has seen first of all. And not only that, he has to control his senses. First verse, nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami is giving. What is giving? Vacho vegam, manasak krodha vegam, jishpa vegam, udaro pasta vegam, etan vegan yo visaheta dira. Prudvin's Siksha. One who can control the 6 urges, starting with the tongue. If we can control the tongue, it can control everything else. The first problem is with the tongue only. Tongue doesn't want to chant. Tongue doesn't want to taste prasadam, but it also wants all other things. Can you give me jalebi? Can you give me gulab jamun? Or can you give me this, that? We have. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is teaching how to regulate. If you look at Prabhupada's life, very regulated. Exact same thing is doing throughout the year. Doesn't matter whether it's traveling or whether it's which place, hottest place or coldest place, fully regulated. The human life means regulation. So but it's a gradual process. Obviously, we are not Prabhupada. Prabhupada is telling, just like I am doing, you try to do it. At least try. So that regulation, Krishna has mentioned, Yukta Hara Viharasya Yukta Chetasukam. So Guru means he himself is regulated and he is teaching by his own example. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving that. What is that? Achar and Vichar. See, yeah, both. That means not only speaking very nicely, but he is also following it. He is putting in his own practice. And we can see clearly from our founder Acharya. Every minute, every day, he is following the same schedule, time management, the qualifications of advanced devotee. You can see everything. Everything is there in Sri Prabhupada because he is a pure devotee. And he is showing by his own example how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown with his own example. So that's why he is the actual Guru. We see that who is here, who is not Guru is been mentioned here. So-called, yes, sometimes we may see people with kanti mala, we may see with tilak, we may see saffron cloth. That doesn't mean you might be nicely bright-faced and whatnot, but that's not the actual criteria to select a Guru. Criteria is reading Prabhupada books, then we understand actually what Prabhupada wants, who is actually Guru, who is following Prabhupada's instruction. Then we can consider them as Guru. If somebody is not following Prabhupada's instruction closely, then there is a degree of surrender is difference. That's what we have to understand clearly. And there is another person here. Everything is there, he's putting tilak, but he's doing something else, which is prohibited. We are not supposed to take the intoxication. So that's why he cannot be called. That means there is no sense control. So next. Yeah, obviously we cannot approach material benefits. So the spiritual master is not to, can I take this job? Can I do put this money, invest here? Can I buy this land? These questions we shouldn't be asking spiritual master. Ask sometimes complicated questions also we shouldn't ask, like in a family life or some kids things, or if he is sannyasi, he never married. If he is previously he was on grihastha ashram, then he became Goswami, that's a different story. If somebody has become sannyasi without ever married, yes, he could give some tips, but we should consult those who are in the grihastha ashram have seen, how to tackle, how to differentiate those kind of, some seemingly material, but it may be to help in our spiritual progress. But those kind of questions should be addressed, discussed with those advanced devotees, those Siksha Gurus, and see how it can be resolved or more improved upon those things. But we should, that's why we have to see what we should ask, what we shouldn't ask. Spiritual master is not to give us material benefits. So that is not the purpose of spiritual master. But anything important, like sometimes, because the surrender means there is 6 steps. In that also we have to see what is favorable to Krishna, what is not favorable for devotion. That's what we have to see constantly, every day. In any major activity we do, before we do anything, we should ask Krishna permission. Krishna, please, is this right? Am I doing? Please give me right intelligence before I start doing things. It's not that this is a one way, means this is also okay. At least he's thinking about Krishna. First, let me invest here. If something comes good, then I will give it to Krishna. That means he is not first of all asking Krishna, is this right way to do? Is this the thing I should do? Is it going to help me in coming close to you? That's not he's asking. He's not asking that. He's first of all, he wants to do something. Then if something comes out of, then he wants to give him. So this is not the actual pure devotion. So there are different levels, but at least Krishna is a spiritual master telling, all right, at least something. You coming to Krishna, even if you have material desires, whatever, that's fine. That is the level 1. But we have to, that is not the end. That's not all in all. So we have to see how we can go from that level to the next level. So that is the main purpose of Guru. It's not for material benefits. So obviously that's what has been talked about here by his own example. So that's what we can see. Srila Prabhupada is the perfect example, and Vaishnava etiquette must be followed. That means when Prabhupada, we see that many times, we see that, observe that many times, also in other places, also other temples and all. So Prabhupada's garland is not proper, but others may have garland, or he doesn't have a flower in the hand. When we walk in the temple, we should make sure that the deity is nicely taken care. Prabhupada is nicely dressed. Prabhupada has a nice garland. Prabhupada has a flower in the hand. Just like we, when we go to office, when we do things, how nicely we go. We don't go in a irregular way, imperfect way. We try to be in a nicely dressed and some systematic. Then we should also see, the eyes must be always seeing, how can I improve? What can I do? How can I engage in service? This should be the thought process constantly churning in our mind. Then that will allow us, then we are receiving the qualification, then we are receiving the mercy, actually, because that thought process is there. Then automatically feeling, willing and acting will come. If the thought process is not there, I'm just simply going, coming out. That means Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling, yes, I'm hearing, giving class here, and he is not, he's thinking that, oh, darshan is open, let me jump, let me run and take the darshan, do something else. But Prabhupada is always sitting. When his spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta was giving, Prabhupada always, he never went left. He's always hearing. Whether he understood or not understood, he is always hearing. Because first through ears, Shabda Praman, as Madhupati Prabhu is saying, Shabda Praman is the most important, because when we understand the actual transcendental sound vibration, it can shatter all our inabilities in our heart. That's what transcendental sound, that's what it does. It's not material sound. So that's why Prabhupada's Dhun machine we should have, we all should have. If we don't have, we should get it. That should always go on, because transcendental sound of pure devotee is always very important. We should try to play and hear from him, hear his lectures. We have these nice audio machines recently, so we should try to take the advantage. It is every minute is very important for us. So that's what has been talked about. This is the qualification of Guru, and same thing, we should also be following the qualification of disciple very sincerely. Check and balance. What is check and balance? Sadhu, Shastra and Guru. Guru doesn't speak which is not in the Shastra. Guru doesn't speak what Sadhu says. Sadhus means Mahajanas. Mahajanasya yena gatasya panta. So that's what Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Shastra means there is Shasana. Disciple means Shishya. Shishya is coming from one who is disciplined. He is called disciple, who is called Shishya. That means we should be always be ready to be disciplined by advanced devotees and Guru. Many times we have the idea that only Guru should discipline us. If somebody else chastises us, somebody else tells us that this is wrong, bro, can you correct? Then we get very upset. This is a natural tendency as a human being, as a living entity, we have this tendency. But when we are following the spiritual progress, if somebody is instructing anything good for us, even though we don't like it, We have to take it. That's it. No questions. Just take it. And we have to see how we can develop that quality of receiving it and somehow or the other and implementing that. Otherwise, it's not good for us. We cannot progress in devotion service. We cannot receive chastisement. If somebody is glorifying and we like to hear again and again, which is not so good. That means we are not going further in advancement. So here humble. So this is the first quality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking, and this is the first quality. Pranipata. Tad vidhi pranipata. What does pranipata means? Prakrushta rupena nipata. That's why Prabhupada emphasizes whether you like it or not, bow down. Spiritual master means bow down. Even multiple times. Shrutakirti Prabhu was telling. For every 2 minutes when he is walking into the when he is walking to the spiritual master's place, he is bowing down again. Again, even after 2 minutes, again he comes back, again he is bowing down. So it is because that requires surrender, that much surrender. It's not a ordinary person. So that is the importance of a humble surrender. Only if we have humility, then we can surrender. Otherwise, we take it very lightly. I have surrendered already. And many times when we bow down, we don't chant pranam mantra. Then what kind of surrender that is? Because we are supposed to chant. When we bow down, what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to chant Guru Pranam Mantra, at least the first line of Guru Pranam Mantra, whenever we bow down. Even when we bow down to Tulsi Maharani. When we offer to Tulsi Maharani also, we are supposed to show it to Guru. So that is very important. Guru, Tulsi Maharani, Prabhupada, always constantly be absorbed in how to serve all of them. Without their service, without pleasing them, it is very difficult, very difficult to come out of our material thought process in our mind. Very difficult. That means there is no humility cannot be developed because we are not taking the shelter of the purest devotees are always serving. Sri Prabhupada, Tulsi Maharani. So that's what that humility will come by that practice. And submissive inquiry, obviously. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Prabhupada quotes Rupa Goswami. First is Adav, what is that? Adav Guru Ashtrayam. But before that, Atato Brahma Jignasa. One must have that inquisitiveness. Madhupal Prabhu has covered. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Then Jivasa Tattva Jignasa. Okay, you want to inquire, but what exactly, what is my relationship with Ishvara, Prakriti, Kala, everything? We have to understand. That's why when we skip Bhagavad Gita introduction, we cannot understand the relationship. We understand 5 subject matter. If somebody asks, can you tell me the relationship between all these 5 subjects in detail? Sometimes we get, we have difficulty in explaining that. So, and Prabhupada talks about it in detail in the introduction itself. But most of the time we skip it. When we read again, second time, third time, 10th time, still we should read introduction also. From chapter 1, it's not that I have known, this is just a preliminary subject. I already am thorough. No, we are never thorough. Bhagavad Gita transcendental subject matter is not a question of a thorough. It is question of practice, question of purifying our consciousness. The knowledge it will reveal. Every time we read, it gives every word of Bhagavad Gita, introduction end to end. So that is the submissive inquiry means. It means if you don't have submissiveness, then we think I have perfect, I know this verse, I don't need to read again. No, we have to read again. We have to hear from others. So that is the submissive inquiry. Vidhi Pranipada Pariprasnena Sevaya. Pariprasna, yeah. Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada is quoting Rupa Goswami, who we are called Rupa Nugas. He is the principal Acharya in our line. So that's why we take shelter of Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami. So where it is mentioned that first thing is Adav Guru Ashrayam. Then Vishramba Sevana. When we take shelter of Guru or advanced devotee, we should serve them nicely. Whenever we get opportunity, always service is the topmost. Very important. Very, very important. Yeah. Adav Guru Ashram, Vishramba Sevanam, then Sadharma Prucha. Without asking, without actually surrendering, without serving, if you ask questions, it's not actually fruitful because we don't have sincere faith. Means respect, and we are not trying to please first. If you try to serve, that is what Shastra is telling clearly. Vishramba Sevana is very important. Then you ask submissively. We will become submissive first when we through service. Again and again, when we serve, then even if we have some problems, that we will automatically become humble by that service. Natural Krishna will make us humble because when we take service, difficulty will come. Many times we will not be able to do the service properly. So then we have to go through that our own experiences through various services. Sometimes we may have to clean bathroom, we may have to clean so many things, or we may have to fix something which we don't know how to fix it. So then all those difficulties will make us service grounded to ourselves, to the inner core. So then we will come to our senses, and then we can ask questions. Otherwise, without service, asking questions, it's difficult. There's nothing wrong in asking question, but this should be in our mindset. I should be ready to do service. Tadvid, yeah. Adav Guru Ashrayam, Sadharma Prucha, Vishramba Sevanam, Sadhu Marganugamanam. This is also very important. After initiation also. How much advanced, it doesn't matter. Even when we go to the spiritual world, Prabhupada is mentioning, there also gurus are instructing. It is not that guru is just here. We chant in the Guru Astaka when we do Guru Puja. There also mentioned. So spiritual master is always instructing there also. We are not directly serving Radha and Krishna. Spiritual masters are there, previous acharyas are there. They are engaging in the service. There also instructions are received regularly. So that is why it is very important to understand this subject. Sadhu Marganugamanam. That means following the previous acharyas, following the spiritual master, following the advanced, following the Mahajanas. It is very, very crucial. That means we have to see if somebody is advanced devotee or senior devotee is coming and going down, then we have to see all these circumstances. We have to see Vaishnava etiquette. All these principles are very, very important. That is actually humility means. We whimsically do whatever way we like. We don't know that is a one story, but when we want to understand, when we want to come to the humbleness, humility, then we have to observe this, what's going on, how to chant, how to dance, how to bow down, what to offer, what not to do. All these things, principles must be. Vaishnava etiquette is, that's why it is very important. Prabhupada has given all this in the books, but we haven't taken complete shelter of Prabhupada books. So that's why we have a difficulty in understanding the Vaishnava etiquette. But at least we have to try now after understanding that is very important, Vaishnava etiquette. So the submissive inquiry will come when we have a Vaishnava etiquette in our mind, in our thought, in our feeling. Then service attitude, as discussed, faith in spiritual master. And Krishna is mentioning again and again, throughout Bhagavad Gita, you will see that. If you don't have faith, no way you can understand Bhagavad Gita, however hard you try. Because Janmaiswara Sruta Sri Vir Yedamana Madapuma Naivaraham Abhidatum Akinchana Gochara. You may have wealth and aristocracy and so many things that will never lead us to actually understand the subject matter, because we don't have faith. We have faith in all other things, but not in the actual Guru and Shastra and Sadhu. So then we cannot understand this subject. It will just play as something else. So qualities of disciple, as I mentioned already, Sasana, Shastra, Sishya. Unless we are ready to be disciplined by spiritual master and advanced devotee, authority, because who has given the authority? Still Prabhupada has given the authority to GBC, and GBC has given authority to different members, temple presidents or various authorities throughout worldwide. Then they are representatives. Whether we like it or not, we have to follow. That means if we don't like it, we don't want to follow. That means same question. It is questionable. Our activity is questionable. Qualifications of a disciple is questionable. So that means we'll have the same tendency sometimes to our guru, to our advanced devotees, others also will have the same question. Yes, we can ask questions. Prabhu, you are asking me to do this, but in Shastra this is mentioned. Or we can ask in a question way, instead of saying directly offensive way, rather we put a question. Then he can say, or he can tell what is the actual reality, or he can explain, or if he himself, oh Prabhu, sorry, correct, you are correct, then he may correct. So that is the way to follow in a Vaishnava etiquette, understand. And that is the qualification of a disciple, or those who are trying to become a disciple. We are all trying to become a servant, trying to become a disciple. Because becoming a disciple, becoming a servant is not easy job at all. It's very difficult, because we can see in the Shastra so many wonderful examples. Devotion to Supreme Lord, about truthfulness. So that's what ended. With that, I think, let me see the time. 9:07. Oh, I went over. Sorry about that. So we'll take questions. And Madhupal Prabhu, is that okay?
Yeah. Anybody having questions? We can take questions.
Corrections.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, not only questions, any corrections, any other thing, that's fine. You can bring it.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I had 3 questions if you have time. They're like very quick. First is like, Prabhuji, qualification of disciple, what is the verse? What is the reference? Can you give that?
Or if someone is really interested to go into much deeper, so translation and purport is there. So whoever is it, maybe kid or parents, whoever is it, they can attend our today's Saturday one. So I will present the timings and the link. I will keep it. I have a only this slide is missing in that. So I will add that slide timings.
No, who is this?
If required, if any background,
I think we should mute him, Prabhu.
Add some other pictures. Maybe kids have done Govardhan Leela.
Krishna Babu.
He's asking to unmute him. He's not able to unmute himself.
Oh, okay.
Hare Krishna.
Can you?
Yeah, now
unmute?
Yeah, unmute. So yes, Mata, in the same verse, Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprasnena Seva. Pariprasna ena Sevaya. Sevaya is the same thing. Saddharma, the Vishramba Sevanam. That verse is coming from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.74. And obviously Prabhupada mentions, if you Google it, not Google, in vanisource.org or prabhupadvani.org, you'll get the references where Prabhupada is mentioning Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.74. And the same thing is in a shorter form is there in the 4.34. Pranipata, Pariprasnena, Sevaya. These 3 things. Seva, service is important. Then you can ask Pariprasna questions and Pranipata. First is surrender, then service, then questions. Ado Guru Asha, then same thing. 13th chapter, verse number 18 to 22. Very important verse. We neglect this material nature.
Yeah.
Very important. In that, Prabhupada is mentioning, Krishna is mentioning 20 qualities. In that 20 qualities, Prabhupada, if we don't have this one quality, Avyavichar, Ananya Yogena, Avyavicharini, Bhaktir Avyavicharini. If you don't have this quality, you may have humility, you may have selflessness, you may don't have pride or your sense control, and everything. And there is also in the second line, Ado Guru Ashram. If we don't have this, Avyavicharini, Ananya Yogena, that means we are 100% focused. We are not looking for any benefit, not karma, not yoga, not jnana. We are actually really want to serve Krishna, spiritual master, and his disciples, his authorities, every one of them. If there is a question, yes, we can have a question, and in a Vaishnava etiquette, there is no problem. But we are ready to follow. We are ready to improve. Then we can, and that's why Prabhupada Ananya Yogena Bhaktir Avyavicharini. Avyavicharini means we want to do our own idea, own thinking. Oh, he's not right, he's not right. We are always complaining or criticizing or so many other ways. But when it comes to Avyavicharini, Ananya Yogena Bhakti means we have one point focus. Somehow or even somebody criticizes us, then we take it. Bhakti is important. I'm not interested in somebody criticizing, so what? I'm supposed to be humble, I'm supposed to be like grass. Then why shouldn't I take that criticism? Let him criticize. So let me go on with my duty is to serve. Think of Krishna and Guru. How can I improve myself? That should be our thought process. And so many verses are there on this particular thing. How to take criticism, how to be mold ourselves or gross material senses, karmendriya, and then how to change our mind, 5 types of mind, intelligence. All these 3 levels we have to actually look at and see how to improve our level 1, level 2, level 3. So in this way, Bhakti. So there are 3 aspects. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand foundational knowledge. We go deep in from there, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. These points are laid out in much more. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita is also in Madhya Leela, chapter number 25, pure devotion service. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Sanatana Goswami. There also all these aspects are mentioned. There's one more chapter also, I think, is there in the Madhya Leela. this in detail about all about devotion service, end to end. What qualification of disciple, the guru, and everything, the relationship, how to execute. So how to attain pure devotion. So what are the different steps with examples, with different nice verses. It is beautifully explained. So we should refer and try to understand. Nectar devotion, obviously, chapter number 8 is giving 64 items. Whatever I mentioned, that serving Tulsi Maharani, serving Sri Prabhupada, watching what's going on. So even at home also we have to see. You may be means busy with other things. We may not buy every day, but we should see if the spiritual master picture is there, then we should offer some flowers. We should offer at least, if not every day, once in a week, whatever. There should be some consistency, some process, because that is what service means. We don't take up service at temple, all right, at least do service at home, but systematically, sequentially, consistently, just like we do with our kids. We don't neglect them. We try to take care of them. Then they are the Supreme Lord and Spiritual Master is as good as we should serve with the same kind of mood, mentality, that they are not, they are actually much more important actually. But Prabhupada is always, your children is you should take care. That is your first duty before even chanting, because that is what as a mother we are supposed to do, as a father also, but more mother has more responsibility to take care of the kids. So that is the service is there in various levels. So we should try to improve our service always. So then we can improve. Automatically questions will be answered. If we don't try to improve our service because of our tendency, then it is very difficult. Our questions are always will stay in our mind. It never be answered, because who is answering the questions? Krishna as a Chaitya Guru is answering questions through classes, through other spiritual masters, other devotees or Shastra, whatever. But Krishna is the one who is arranging that. If we have that service attitude and we are trying to improve, then Krishna can arrange to answer, to improve our position from one level to another level. If we are not in that adhikar, we don't have that adhikar, then obviously Krishna cannot arrange. Because so to the degree you are surrendering, to the degree you are showing that service, the humility, that particular aspect, the mentality, then to that degree only I can reciprocate. I cannot give somebody else's quality to you. So I can only accept your quality and then give to the degree you are reciprocating with me. So however you treat, then accordingly I can only guide you, not more than what you want. So I hope.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hari
Can
Bol Prabhu.
we see representative of Guru whom we are inspired by as Shiksha Guru?
Yes, there is different aspects of Siksha Guru. Means if we look at in our Sampradaya, Brahma Mahatma Gaudiya Sampradaya, many at least major personalities, major acharyas are actually following the Siksha more than Diksha. Because if somebody is advanced in Siksha, we may have many, because many times, because that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told. Anybody talking about Krishna, any instructions about Krishna, he is a Siksha Guru. So there is no, but we have to see if somebody who's advanced, there's a little advanced, more and more advanced, then to the degree it is. So then we have to see and then consider and take instruction. But obviously we should try to also hear from Diksha Guru. So we always we have to corroborate with that, because Diksha Guru also is a Siksha Guru actually. So that's what we have to see. But that doesn't mean that we neglect. Always wherever we are situated, this is what Prabhupada instructed. If we are in certain temple, certain place, that's where we have to hear from those who are giving classes, whether we like it or not. That's what Prabhupada, go to Mangalarati if we can. We don't do it at home, chant nicely, but hear from whoever is giving class within that area. You hear, follow the authority. That's why Prabhupada has established a nice system. And then obviously hear from, if you have taken Diksha from spiritual master, we should also hear. In this way, then gradually we can understand the subject matter more thoroughly. Even when it comes to service also, wherever we are located, our service should be that focus. We are consistent. That means, Guru has come, then I will give up this service and run. But we have to say, yes, you can go, no problem. But you have to adjust this service, making sure that God service is not hampered, not temple service is hampered, whatever service we used to do, suddenly we cannot do that. Oh, because we see the example of Jayananda Prabhu, how he used to do. When Prabhupada came, he was not running behind Prabhupada. Actually, he was doing all the service. He was not thinking. Then Prabhupada had to call him. And Jayananda called him to come here. That is the actual mood of service. When that service mood is there, when Krishna will give intelligence, how to do. When Guru comes, then how to do, how to adjust things. So there is a way, Vaishnava way, how to do, how to resolve these different circumstances. But if you don't have that mentality or the Vaishnava culture, etiquette, then we have we try to have that what you call barricades, that oh, he's not advanced, he's not, I shouldn't hear from him, I shouldn't. No, Prabhupada didn't instruct. Prabhupada sometimes what he did is, Prabhupada used to sit in the audience, he told his disciples to give classes also. Then, so we can say that no, I want to hear from Prabhupada. No, Prabhupada wanted, because Prabhupada wanted everybody to progress. Because this is a question answer. Everybody is trying to follow, to come to that perfection. Nobody is perfect here. Means Prabhupada is obviously perfect. So we are trying to become, when we follow the perfection, when we follow his path. If he has laid out certain authority, if he has laid out a certain process, certain steps, certain sequence, such a systematic presentation, exactly we should follow. How will we know? So then when we read Prabhupada's books, when we hear from Prabhupada's disciples, there are many has given shared their own pastimes, then we will know actually, oh, this is the Vaishnava etiquette, this is the way we should do, this is the way I should conduct my business, how I should execute my devotion, oh, this I should correct, these are the defects. If we don't hear in this systematic fashion, we will not understand what our defects are. Either my chanting is correct, whether my service is correct, where I am doing mistakes, there is no possibility to detect these defects, because some are very subtle. We will not even know for many years. Then we wasted our time. That means our progress is checked. When our defects are not resolved, removed, progress is checked. So that is the way we should try to.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question, Prabhu, one question.
Go ahead.
Good.
So Prabhu, you already mentioned, and we already knew that about that Bhagavan Krishna, his name and pastime is the same. Generally, we are chanting, or whatever we are chanting the holy name. That is the same with Krishna. So can we explain that thing? I think that this name is the energy of Krishna, right, Prabhu? Because Chaitanya.
No, you tell me, what is your question? What is your question, or the confusion of the question?
Question is that how it is the same? How it is the same, and can you elaborate these things, and can you
just like why, how it is same? Let me say, I already answered, so that I'll Madhubal, please.
Well, first of all, there is a words there. Namachintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Abhit, the name and the Lord is non-different from each other. Right? The Nama Rupa Chaitadi Sukirtananu, nectar of instruction mentioned. In the name, the Rupa, the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord are all included. Right? So how it is different means how it is not different, it is already mentioned from scriptural verses, where just by chanting a name, how on a purified level, when we chant offenselessly, we start realizing the form. We start getting darshan of the Lord. When we come to that offenseless chanting.
Yes.
You understand that? So what Madhubal Prabhu is saying, in a literal sense, if you want, because we are trying to attribute material things to the holy name or the Lord, that's why we have a difficulty in understanding. Let's say you are thirsty, what you'll do? Water. When you say water and you actually drink water, is there a difference or not? In material sense, there is a difference, right? Unless you take the water and drink it, then only you are getting the energy and your thirst is quenched. Is it not? then we are trying to same thing, because this understanding, this material understanding is there. We are trying to attribute the same thing to the Supreme Lord. But Supreme Lord is mentioned again and again. Angani Yesu Sakalendra Vittimanti, Nama Chintamani, hundreds of verses telling there is no difference, because it is not like our covering, our body, our mind, our senses, there is a difference. There is a gross covering. But when it comes to the Lord, there is no difference. Everything is same, absolute. Because there is no material thing. There is no actually what you call deficiencies. Everything is perfect. So then how can there be a difference? What is where is the question of confusion?
Yes, Prabhu. Well, I got it. Madhubhuti Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, Madhubhuti Prabhu, and Krishna and Prabhu. But my question, one question, just I'll take another 30 seconds only, Prabhu. So my question is that God's and God's energy is there, right? We are Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yeah.
God's and God's energy. The name is the God's energy. That is correct. I understood that thing. But God's and God's energy. So we are thinking that God's name also the same is the Lord.
Let's in your question, let's be specific. There are God has many energies. So which energy are you talking about?
I'm not talking
about the holy name energy.
No, internal energy. This is internal energy.
The internal energy of the Lord, as Jagannath Prabhu, the internal energy of the Lord, when we are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare is the internal energy of the Lord, right? Hare, not Krishna, Hare.
Yes.
Hare, because that's Srimati Radharani, right? Radharani.
Yes.
So that's the internal energy of the Lord, Radhini Sakti of the Lord.
Yes.
Krishna, the syllable Krishna is Krishna himself.
Okay. Oh, got it, Prabhu.
Okay.
You understood, or you still have some confusion?
No, I got the point, Prabhu, right now. And you gave some example of water and testing of water. Can you repeat that again so I can comprehend this thing again? So can you repeat that particular example? Just give 30 minutes, 30 seconds, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, when you say water, just like you are calling Krishna or Rama or Srimati Radharani, and you are getting certain type of sound vibration. When you say same thing, water, or you call any other person, a Mohan or a whatever, the ordinary living entity, you don't have the same effect. There is a difference. That is internal energy. These all others are either marginal energy or actual energy. There is a difference. So in Lord's capacity, whether it's Srimati Radharani or Balaram or Radhika Raman or whatever, all Krishna's paraphernalia in internal capacity. When we say, obviously we said means marginal, we are also part of energy. That's why I asked be specific. Which energy are you talking about? Because when it comes to internal energy, the holy name, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, this is all part of his own internal energy. But when it comes to us, we are Vibhinnans, we are separated part and parcel. So then we are not the same quality. We are same quality, but quantity wise is different. So that's why when we say somebody's name, like my name or somebody's legal name, then it is not going to produce some transformation. But same thing we do, whether we like it or not, whether we have faith in it or not, when we chant Hare Krishna, just like the fire will burn us, whether you have a faith in the fire or not, as soon as you put finger, it is going to burn. Same way, whether we like it or not, faith is there or not in holy name or his paraphernalia, his pastimes, his prasadam, it is going to transform. So, but it is a question of different levels of transformation. To the degree we have that understanding and surrender, that's a different aspect. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, it is clear right now. Thank you, Madhubhuti Prabhu and Krishna and Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Also, Prabhupada.
Any other question? We have 4 more minutes. 9:30 we are going to end. One last question or something.
Or you want to bring some realizations or reflections or even corrections? It's all right. You can bring it so that we all can learn and improve.
I just wanted to add to that. Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
Just
go
one.
ahead.
go ahead, Simha Prabhu.
That Prabhuji's question of that, how it is Krishna's name and pastimes, how it is, how it comes to that. I mean, it's also mentioned there in our Upanishads, right? Om Purnat Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyade, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Avashishyade. Krishna is complete. He's complete. He's Purna. So his name itself has everything. His complete name itself is everything. He's absolute. Purnamidam, everything comes from that Purna. If anything takes out from Krishna, is also same Purna. So Purna has everything. So that name has everything. So that's Prabhuji mentioned that. When you say name, that's called the absolute, the supreme, the Purna, the complete. We cannot separate from him anything. Anything we take it out, it's also complete. So everything is there in the name, in the pastimes. Even if you just say Krishna, everything is Krishna complete. That's why it's mentioned that Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Samashik. It has complete potency, it has full potency of it. So when we chant this purely holy name, we can enter into the event says that we can enter into the Leela of Krishna because of that name itself has everything. And the complete Leela is there. That's why it's mentioned that pastime and name, Leela, everything is same. Just wanted to add that too.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead. Somebody wants to say something?
Prabhu, if I can ask a question, if no one has.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Amritana Prabhu.
Prabhu, we have our material senses which are faulty, limited tendency to cheat, illusion, bewilderment, so on and so forth.
Yes.
And now here we have the perfect knowledge. Perfection is being understood by imperfect senses.
Yes.
So there seems to be a disconnect, correct? How can the imperfect understand the perfect? So if you could please elaborate a little on that.
Very nice. Wonderful question. How can the imperfect understand the perfect? Atasi Krishna nam dina bhavet grahayam indriyahai. So with our material blunt senses, we cannot understand. With our blunt senses, we cannot see the Supreme Lord. Premanjana Shurita Bhakti Vilochanena. Right? Unless our eyes are anointed by love of God, we cannot see the Lord. Right? So that eye needs to be anointed by love of God to see the Lord. Right? Otherwise, our vision is imperfect. But when it is perfected by love of God, then we can see the Lord. Right? Just like we see in the pastime of Damodar Lila, Mother Jashoda is trying to bind Lord Krishna. She's getting all the ropes which she can get in entire Braj to bind Krishna. She's not able to bind Krishna. She's giving all her endeavor. Right? So then the Lord's mercy is included. When Lord gives his mercy, then she's able to bind the Lord. Right? Just by thinking, oh, I have the rope and I can bind the Lord. No, it won't be possible. Because that will be again, as you mentioned, by our own senses. But when we go on endeavoring with our devotion to the Supreme Lord, then the mercy aspect of the Supreme Lord is included. That mercy aspect of the Supreme Lord will see the Lord or to serve the Lord. Yeah. Does that make? Is that all right, Amitabh?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thanks.
Some examples maybe add, because again the same aspect I would say, we are trying to compare with the material aspects of it, then we are trying to attribute to this also. That's why we have a complexity in understanding this, that how imperfect can understand perfect. That's why we are saying, don't read self study. Yes, you read Gita, you read Bhagavatam self, but we also put somebody who's pure. Things may be impure, sun is purifying. Things may be impure when you are putting in the fire, but it will purify, it will burn. So when you are bringing Srila Prabhupada, when you are bringing Tulsi Marani, when we are doing service, all these things are, even though we might be impure, automatically by their mercy, by their purity, it is going to purify us. But obviously some faith has to be there, some degree of faith, some degree of sincerity. Even though if we don't have that, yes, imperfect, but then we don't have sincerity, we don't have faith, we don't want to do service, then we stay where we are, that same imperfection will continue. So why otherwise, even in the material world, the failures leads to success. Yes, we are all imperfect. That's why we are trying to approach a perfect person. Obviously, the bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he was perfect. So we cannot attribute the same material as, because I have a tendency to cheat, I have a tendency to work. But you can see to the Prabhupada's examples. He never cheated anyone. He never committed these kind of mistakes, what we do. So we can say, because of his mercy, by approaching that person who has that purity, then automatically, by like a fire is purifying everything, sun is purifying everything, then automatically we are getting the purified. Doesn't matter. That's what Prabhupada. We are all trying to become, we are all green mangoes. We are all trying to become ripe, because by following the natural process, putting the water, putting whatever resource it needs, some uranium or whatever, not uranium, whatever, other cow dung or whatever, natural things to grow that green to ripe. Yes, in today's world, sometimes the mango gets, it doesn't ripe, but it leads to something else because of the unnatural aspects, how we treat things. Same way, so that means the faith, the authority, all those aspects will come into picture from green mango to ripe mango. Same way, the disciple, the imperfection we may have, but when we take that authority, when we do the service, when we follow the systematically what the pure person has given, naturally there is no question of no transformation. There is obviously, we will transform automatically. We'll see Chetan throughout Chetan Charitamrita. So even though whether it's what is that, Kali Krishna Das or many others, sometimes they were being removed from the service by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Lord Nityananda Prabhu engaged them back again in service. So Damodar Pandit also sometimes criticized, again is back in some other service. Yes, he might be taken out from this. Yes, many times they may have imperfections, they might be initiated, they might be advanced devotees, but there are imperfections at each and every stage. But then how they have that, somebody is trying to seeing that quality, encouraging them and putting them in some other service, so that he can correct, he can understand what defect he has done previously, what mistake he has done in the past, how he can come out of that mentality. So that is the job of a spiritual master, that is the job of Lord Balaram and spiritual master. So that's what he is looking at. That's why Lord Nityananda Prabhu is always merciful and trying to engage them, even though Mahaprabhu doesn't want to give mercy to Ramananda Rai. So many examples, not Ramananda Rai, Pratap Rudra or Kali Krishnadas, because he has to put that example, set that example of strictness. If he doesn't do, then people will think that it's very lightly, and they slack. So that way he has to set the example, but at the same time he has to show the mercy through Balaram, because that is Guru's job, to be compassionate, to be merciful, to encourage, not discourage. So that's how Srila Prabhupada has showed us. So that's how we can become perfect.